my role, I'm representing a Saskatchewan Junior Golf Committee, and some of you maybe have kind of heard of that last year. We kind of put together a bit of a committee of parents just to kind of support Golf Saskatchewan with some junior golf initiatives. So we've had a committee in place last year. We had some other members last year. This year, you know, these are the members that have kind of been helping out. So myself, Wendy, Darcy, Grant, and Dell, we've been meeting. And we've been putting together just some information for you tonight, and hopefully just kind of make this a great year for junior golf. So again, we work hand in hand with Golf Saskatchewan and Steve and Brian. So we're kind of just a subcommittee of them. Any fundraising we do, we use their banking facilities, we use their you know, kind of their corporate profile for that. So it just kind of made life easier at that point. And it's really been working well, and then we're really thankful for Golf Saskatchewan for kind of supporting us in this endeavor. We always are looking for new members. Again, this is a fairly new thing. You know, we've been learning as we go, but I think we got some really good things happening now. But yeah, if anybody, you know, cares to want to help out, they can certainly contact me or contact Steve, and we're always open to taking more volunteers. So basically, you know, I just want to get in briefly as to kind of how we got here. Some of you know, some of you kind of were on our calls last year, but we felt we needed to form a committee in support of junior golf. Most organizations that promote sports and other activities are normally run by a national organization, a provincial organization, and a local association. And then, of course, it's down to the families, and the families who participate, the children that participate in the sport or the activities. With golf now, you know, if we look at Hockey Canada, Sask Hockey Association down the Yorkton Minor Hockey, for example, and then the hockey families, who of course provide support for their son or daughter's team throughout the years. So with golf, there's just a gap in there. You know, we have Golf Canada, of course, we have Golf Saskatchewan, but there's no local golf associations as there would be for gymnastics, for cheer, for drama, for a whole pile of things, right? And then that, of course, comes down to the golf families. Now, of course, this isn't just a problem in Saskatchewan. It's kind of the way golf has been set up throughout the world, and that's basically for two reasons. Number one is because you're not required to be part of an association to compete. So essentially, all of these type of activities, it comes down to competition. But really, at the end of the day, you can get yourself a set of golf clubs for your child, and you can enter a golf tournament. And you don't need a special insurance. You don't need certifications. You don't need to be registered with an association. You can just enter. So for that reason, there's really no requirement for that. Now, the other part of it is golf is hard. So if you think of it that way, there's probably about 150 kids in the entire province that actually play competitive golf. So then it would be impossible for every community. Every community has a hockey association or soccer or gymnastics. So it'd be impossible to have an association in every town or city to support golf. So when we talk about that blank line there that's missing, I mean, those are some key parts. So that's what we're kind of here to do is to, hey, these parents, we want to volunteer. We want to help our sport, and we want to create opportunities for our kids and hopefully bring better opportunities along the way. So as everybody knows, and everybody probably on the call has been part of an association of some sort, every association is made up of volunteers, and it's usually the families of the participants. Whether you're president, whether you're treasurer, whether you're selling 50-50 at the gate or selling programs, you're participating in that sport. And of course, golf, we know, we kind of show up at the golf course, stay 30 yards away from our kids, and then we go home. So, so it's just different. The other thing, you know, that the associations do is they organize travel. They organize accommodations. They organize team events. They organized, you know, a wind up. So again, that's all done by volunteers, and it's all done by parents most of the time. And the other key piece of this is one of the reasons we did start this organization or this committee was because of fundraising. And golf has its own complexities when it comes to fundraising to begin with, but there's no association that you can fundraise a part of that offsets your cost to compete. So I know as soon as you get on a hockey team, the first thing you're supposed to do is to sell out that program to get sponsorships for your program. So basically that's the one thing, you know, that every hockey team does, that they raise money, and that kind of goes to offset ice costs or offsets bus costs for that kind of stuff. So that's one of the main reasons we wanted to come together and just and make those opportunities. So when we did start out, as far as mandates and goals of this committee, and we've met quite often, you know, and via Zoom, and to be honest, if we weren't learning about Zoom here, you know, we may not have happened, but that's the one thing the pandemic let us know, that we don't have to kind of all get together in the same spot. So we really dove deep into how we could make junior golf better in Saskatchewan, and we really wanted to target the families that are on the call right now, and we want to support players that are playing competitive golf. So, you know, we're not worried about kind of grassroots. I mean, Golf Saskatchewan does a good job at that, but we want to support the players that are, you know, grinding away all year, traveling, playing tournaments, and that kind of stuff. So the number one thing is, one of the things was just awareness. And that's basically why we're here today, is to just give a lot of feedback and information to families, because the way golf is, and I'm guessing that most everybody on the call who's a parent or a caregiver or a guardian has never even played in a golf tournament, or not even been to a junior golf tournament. So we lack a bit of knowledge that way, where of course, you know, we grew up playing other sports, and golf was just kind of not one of them, at least on a competition level. So we have a night like tonight where we can hopefully give you some information as to how you maybe could plan your year, what tournaments you can play in, and that kind of stuff. And again, we also want to provide contacts from experienced families who went through it, who maybe had a 9 or 10-year-old who didn't really know what they were doing. There's always things we would have done differently, but we want to provide some contacts, like the people that are on the committee, that you're able to reach out to and says, hey, what should we be doing? Where should we be playing? And what should we be doing? So that was an important thing.
Rob, sorry, Rob, I just want to jump in there. Are the slides, I haven't seen any slides change. We're on the title page there.
Oh, are you?
Yeah.
Okay. It's changing now. Did that change?
Yeah, there we go. There's the committee is showing there now.
Okay, so there's our committee, like I mentioned, and again, Golf Saskatchewan. And I worked hard on the slides, so I had some fancy arrows and stuff, but I had to get rid of them. But anyway, so that's what I talked about: Hockey Canada, Saskatchewan, Yorkton Minor Hockey, and again, Golf Canada, Golf Saskatchewan, and then there's the blank space, because we don't have the association. So like I talked about, not required to compete, and there's not a lot of junior golfers. So I went all through this stuff. Thanks, Steve. So again, junior golf information, we want to provide, you know, some familiar faces where you can reach out to if you're getting started. Fundraising, again, that's a big one. And this is a vital role that the local associations do. I mean, you see it all over the place, where they're selling pierogies or selling calendars or this, that, and the other. That money's all going to offset costs for travel, for competitions, and then coaching and that kind of stuff. So the problem with golf too is we have these things called rules, and there's amateur status rules, and those complicate fundraising for golf even more. And so what we've done is we've kind of been able to solve that riddle and solve that problem that kind of opens the door for families to be able to fundraise. So personal fundraising. So we ran a Golf-A-Thon last year. We'll get into that a little bit more. And again, sponsorships, you're allowed to get sponsored, and the rules have actually changed a little bit there too. And again, there's group fundraising as well, which we'll get into, corporate sponsorships, group fundraising activities. And the other thing we want to be responsible to doing is organizing team golf events. And again, we hopefully this year we'll be able to do that with a trip to a Golf Canada event and then to a golf camp. So those are kind of the things that we want to do. I mean, Golf Saskatchewan, they have a lot of different mandates and goals, and junior golf is certainly one of them, but they don't have the capacity to to support every community in Saskatchewan. So we're kind of just filling in a little bit of that void there. So tonight's agenda, want to go through tournaments. So I want to go through the tournament schedule. Again, there's some stuff there that you may not know. I hope you can learn something. This is a Canada Games year. I think what, the third year that we're trying for Canada Games here. So Canada Games qualifying. Again, we're going to touch on fundraising again. We're planning a golf camp May 28th and 29th. We're planning a trip to the Next Gen Championship team trip. Again, that's a tournament that, you know, maybe a lot of you didn't know, but that's a very important tournament. A little bit about the long-term athlete development plan. And then there's a ton of scholarship opportunities with Golf Saskatchewan that we want to review. So tournaments, of course, why we all do this, tournaments. And again, a lot of these tournaments, you know, we never heard of until we really got into it. So there's junior tours, Maple Leaf Junior Tour, and then the Canadian Junior Golf Association Tour, which is coming back to Saskatchewan this year. There's men's and women's events that, of course, juniors can enter that we're going to talk about. Of course, our provincial tournaments, our national tournaments, and then, again, the Next Gen tournament that we'll be talking about. So Maple Leaf Junior Tour, I think everybody, and if you haven't been in it yet, Maple Leaf Junior Tour again is, yes, probably, not probably, but is the biggest junior tour across Canada. You know, everybody who's come up through junior golf has played the Maple Leaf Junior Tour, and I know for myself, again, before I got into it, I haven't heard the Maple Leaf Junior Tour, but then we get into it, and it's just a fantastic tour if you're going to get started in junior golf. Now, I'm just going to go through the schedule here. So, I don't know if you can see that very clearly, but so the last 3 or 4 years, like really the landscape of junior golf has changed dramatically. And golf in general has gotten a lot busier. And it's, again, it's boomed. It's really taken off. So if we look at our schedule here for Saskatchewan, we have Estevan, we have Elmwood, Swift Current, we have Moon Lake, Saskatoon, Elkridge, and back to Saskatoon to Legends. Like if you look at the right-hand side, 4 out of the 5 tournaments have a wait list and 1 tournament is full. So when I talk about the change of landscape, that's it. Like these tournaments fill up so fast, and you have to get in there when they announce the schedule. You almost have to be up at midnight registering your kid. So there's still room in Saskatchewan, as if you see, for the Estevan event. And that's always a great event that usually kicks off the year. Sometimes we have a chilly morning, but no, it's really an excellent event, and you can just see how these tournaments are full. So that's just a terrific thing. So I also want to just go through, this is Alberta Schedule. And again, you can go on the website. When you go to register, you get these, you can see on the right-hand side, Alberta's, again, almost full. So there's a couple open tournaments in Turner Valley and one in Sylvan Lake. And a lot of people on the western side of the province, Regina, Saskatoon, I mean, those aren't bad drives for you, right? You know, you're probably 4 or 5 hours away from some of those places. And it is really important to play out of the province. You know, so there is opportunities there. Sometimes people have family in places they go visit and play a tournament. So when the tournament comes out, it's always neat to see what towns they're in. If you look at Manitoba, Manitoba's wide open, so they don't really have quite a demand that we do. I know I'm from Yorkton, so we always used to play Manitoba a couple times a year, just because it's kind of close for us. But as you can see, there is a lot of openings there. Manitoba doesn't like to venture too far away from Winnipeg. But yeah, lots of opportunity in Manitoba as well if you want to get an extra tournament in there. And of course, last but not least, Maple Leaf Junior Tour has a mini tour, as many of you are familiar. Now, again, 5 or 6 years ago, there wasn't a mini tour because there was no kids playing the mini tour. But I mean, Jeff has done a tremendous job. These tournaments, I believe, get 30 or 40 kids out. And that's why I just think it's so important. The game in Saskatchewan is just, it's growing right now big time. So that's just an amazing thing. And you can see the tournaments there if you haven't already looked. Jeff, I know you had a few words tonight.
Yeah, no, I wasn't sure where we were going to go with that, but yeah, no, it is exciting. I'm constantly on phone calls now with the golf courses saying that we have the best problem that we all dreamed about many years ago. When I first started running this tour in Saskatchewan, it was about 15 years ago. You know, we started with 30, 40 kids, and we've just grown, and we were stagnant for so long. And then last couple of years are getting more interested in the opportunities that go on, and just the word of mouth has really helped now. And to see our events at near capacity, we just opened up a few spots, so there is going to be a little bit of room in some of the events, but to see them at so close to, like, well over 100 kids, 40 kids in the mini tours, it's just awesome to see. And we finally have that problem of trying to figure out how we can get those tournaments done at golf courses. So it's very exciting, and it's a good sign of things to come. And yeah, it's definitely a challenge, as you know, Rob, putting the schedule together. As you can see how it's spaced out, so that you know, we wanted to make sure that we didn't conflict with any of the Golf Saskatchewan events, because obviously we want our players playing in everything we can in the next gen series, and we tried to stay away from important other dates. So it's a pretty good schedule, and we look forward to having a wonderful season, and hopefully I can open up a few more spots yet. The golf clubs are working really hard with me to try to make sure we don't turn down any kids. We've worked so hard to get them out there, and we don't want to turn anybody away. So it's a good sign of things to come.
So Jeff, would you recommend people getting on the wait list then if they haven't already, or if that shouldn't be a deterrent? Or?
Yeah, 100%. There was some that were slated as full and they couldn't even get on there. I'm actually kind of shocked. Is this a current slide, or when?
No, it's a couple days old. It's a couple days old, Jeff. Yeah.
So just 2 days ago, it's opened up now in all the events. So the people were taken off the wait list. They're into the tournament, and there will be a wait list started again. The good news is this: once we hit 120 kids, so that, again, we haven't seen these type of numbers probably. I don't know if Brian would have the history of it, but since we've seen 130 kids in any kind of tournaments, probably over 30 years. I've been in I've been with Golf Saskatchewan and in Saskatchewan for 20 years, and we've never come close to that. I think the biggest event ever was at the Willows, and there was just over 100 kids there, 105, I think. So this is just exciting to see what we're going to get to. And, you know, I'm getting tons of calls from kids that are interested in competitive play and the coaching side. And it's just exciting going forward. So this is a perfect time for the organization to get involved like you're doing. So thank you for doing what you're doing out there, because information is hard to find.
Yeah. Thank you, Jeff. Yeah, and I know, without MJT, I know we wouldn't even be playing golf right now, or my daughter wouldn't be. So it's a great time to really get going. Don't be afraid of breaking a rule. I know I used to be afraid of getting disqualified before we got out of the parking lot, but no, Jeff is super good at. It's a time to learn and compete and learn the games. So
I was going to say, yeah, Rob, going along with that, we're deemed as a developmental tour. Like it's a serious tour, like the best of the best play on this tour for sure. And, you know, we get to see so many on the PGA tour now that have graduated on, but we're out there trying to give kids an opportunity to play a tournament instead of showing up and worrying about rules officials, things like that, or breaking the rules, because if they do, you know that we do it in a gentle way where we teach them the rules, and we want to just make sure that the kids enjoy their time. We have the big guy out there starting everybody, and people really like the whole presentation. You feel like you're going to a big event every time you show up.
Yep.
Because they are. The kids are important, and we want to make sure that they have that. So thanks.
No, it's a ton of fun. It really is. So continuing on with that, like I said, Canadian Junior Golf Association, again, that goes back to how I was saying before about the landscape being changed. They ran events 5-6 years ago. There just wasn't enough kids to support 2 tours, so they just didn't get the turnout. So this is a tour very similar to Maple Leaf Junior Tour. So they are coming back to Saskatchewan this year with an event in Yorkton. So I'm quite happy about that. And I think, Steve, I don't know if Tyler's on the call, but Steve, you want to talk about it a little bit?
Yeah, I can kind of open up on that. Tyler was writing his level 2 rules exam, so I think he's focused on that right now. But the last few years, Tyler with CJG had reached out and asked if there was any interest, and with COVID and everything, it just didn't fit right. And this year again, he had reached out, and we had a window where an event could work, and we tried to figure out how that would work and how it would look. And for those of you that don't know CJGA, their developmental tour, they allow kids of all ages. As an example, on their Linkster event, it's a 2-day event. They open it up to ages 4 to 14. So that's a pretty significant age difference there. And it's kids new to competition and barely swinging a golf club. So I couldn't imagine being a 4-year-old kid playing in a tournament, but there's always room to develop at any age. So the 3-day event was a big topic of discussion and talking with coaches down south and out east and west. And 3-day events are really recognized from college coaches. They want to see results from 3-day events. So that was something that they're really interested in. It is part of the Faldo Hurricane Series, as you can see on the screen there. So the winner of each division in the region event qualifies you to, I believe, the September qualifier at Woodington Lake Golf Club. And the winner of that goes to Innisbrook national event, similar to MJT has their national event. So we just want to create more opportunities for kids. And nothing against MJT, Jeff, you do an amazing job. We'd like to see more opportunities, and I think this will be a well-attended event, and we'll talk about it a bit more. This event is part of the Canada Games qualifying, but yeah, really excited. If you haven't played Deer Park in Yorkton, please do. It's an outstanding golf course. So, yeah.
Good, thank you, Steve. So same thing with that tour. They do have events in Alberta. They don't have events in Manitoba, I don't think, this year. But yeah, so you can always hop over there and catch another tournament if it fits your schedule. A lot of this just comes down to scheduling, and as far as work and family goes. So if you ever can grab another tournament, that there's some options there as well. So I really want to talk a lot about provincial men's and women's tournaments. I think a lot of these get overlooked. I think juniors should be all in on these type of tournaments. There's just a ton of benefits from playing the men's and women's tournaments. And we've kind of been doing it, myself and my daughter since she's been 10 years old, but it's just really challenging from a mental standpoint. Coming up there and playing with the older players, it just really tests you mentally. And I think that's what golf's really about. You ought to challenge yourself, get outside your comfort zone. So you're going to be playing with new players. MJT, we come there in provincials, we always see the same players. You see your buddies there, you play with your buddies. And but this is completely new. You're going to play with older players, and it just again gets your nerves going a little bit. More experienced players that played a long time and kind of know the game. And what you really can do there is just learn how they carry themselves on the golf course. And that's just really valuable stuff. And you play different courses. Sometimes, Jeff has a tough time getting courses, but no, you get to play different courses, different events. Sometimes have men's events, have women's events. I just highly recommend it. The other thing is caddies are allowed. So, when you're younger, sometimes it's tough with course management, club selection. A lot of younger players lose 3-4 strokes a game just from course management. So, if you're out there, and again, playing with mom and dad sometimes isn't the greatest, but you learn, and mom and dad, if they've golfed, their whole lives or most of their life, they can help you out with that kind of stuff. And it helps with the rules. It is a time where you can get more experienced players that can help you with the rules. And then honestly, it's just overall a fun experience with the parent-child. And I like it a lot because when we're at junior events, we really can't talk to anybody, can't talk to the players. But at these events, you can visit. You're on the tee box, you can talk to each other, you can have a good time, and it's not as kind of hush-hush and don't talk to your players. So it's just really a fun experience. And we've been to lots of ladies events, and they're just more than welcoming. They love having the juniors there. You're playing from decent tees. They're not crazy. So you don't have to worry about that, but I highly recommend getting into a few men's and women's tournaments. As far as the men's go, that's pretty small, but there's a few tournaments. You can look it up on our provincial order of merit. I know a lot of the boys play the Scotia Wealth Open. A lot of the young boys do that. You know, and a lot of them played even the pro event that was in Elkridge last year. So, and we've played the Moose Mountain Classic at Kenosha. Again, that's a really fun tournament. They really have a good time doing that. And so no, depending where you are and where you're located, get out there and play those tournaments, and don't be afraid. You know, it's a really good time. Women's tournaments again, Ladies Northern, lots of fun. Played there last year. You know, the Regina Ladies Open, the Saskatoon Ladies Open, again, very friendly environment. Just a very positive thing to enter, and just get a couple more tournaments in there. And they're usually quite economical to enter. They don't charge a lot. So yeah, I highly recommend doing some of those things. Again, so provincial championships, of course, so that's kind of next on the list. In July, the junior women's, junior men's. Again, if you're just starting out, it's really a good competition, 3-day competition. And yeah, those are usually the best of the best. And this year, yeah, at Royal Regina, which a lot of us don't get to play because it's a private club, so it's really going to be a great thing. And again, as juniors as well, of course, you're more than welcome to enter the amateur women and the amateur men's events. And again, a lot of players do. And again, don't be afraid of it. If you haven't done it yet, just get out there and enjoy your time and really challenge yourself. And it's just about getting out there and getting outside your comfort zone. Do you have any questions, Steve? Or there's a few chats. I don't know if those are questions.
No, so far so good. No questions yet.
Steve, you want to talk about the junior? That was new last year.
Yeah, 100%. So this kind of came about at Hillcrest, for those of you who were there. I know some of you are on the call today. There's been, you know, as Jeff said, there's a thirst for competition for juniors in Saskatchewan, and I've had multiple requests in years past about adding to the event. And you know, we do have a U13 event. They play a 3-day event alongside the junior championships, but 3 days for a 7 to 9 or a 10-year-old boy is just or girl is makes for a long day, so long week. So we've decided to add in the junior event in Moose Jaw, and the host committee there really just embraced it and helped, and they had, I think, over 20 volunteers assist with this. And so in 2021, you can see there we had 7 to 9. We had nine competitors in boys category, 10 to 12. We had another 9. So that's, and then 2 girls. So we had 20 extra competitors at our event. That almost brought us to 100, which is outstanding. And we'd like to see those numbers increase from year to year. And so we use the modified Stableford scoring system. It just helps in developing young golfers, and using the scoring system, you can see on the bottom right of the screen there. So if a player scores -3 on a hole, he or she's going to score 8 points, and so on. And if they score over +3 on a hole, +5 on a hole, well, you still get 0 points. You're not losing. And in fact, we ask that players, you know, pick up after 10 strokes. And it's a modified system, and still under the rules of golf is still applicable. And so it's a 2-day event, 18 holes each day. As it says there, it's basically about 200 yards and less for each hole. They'll still have par 5s, still have par 4s and par 3s, and just be a shorter distance for those age categories. And we just had a meeting with Royal Regina there earlier this week with the host committee, and they're really excited for this event, and we're going to see some big numbers again. And so we'll have a host volunteer course assistant with each group that'll just assist in moving around, navigating the golf course. And a lot of kids haven't played Royal Regina yet this year, or ever. So that'll definitely help. And you know, it's at a significant price of $100 plus GST. You know, you get 2 rounds with cart and a tee gift and prizes, and it's just a great time to learn and get some experience at at a provincial event. And the last thing there, of course, you don't have to be a Golf Canada member, which is great. It's a participation event, and we want to get more people signing up to be a member at Golf Canada, Golf Saskatchewan, to see all the benefits of competition and being a part of the member facility. So this next slide here is how to register. Basically just created a graphic for people to kind of follow along and sign up, because it's a digital age nowadays. You know, we still get the odd person try and fax or drop off with some cash for their tournament entry form, but we want to try and direct everybody to the website. And so there's two ways of going. If you're a Golf Canada member, you would log into your Golf Canada Score Center. So I'm just going to make that a little bigger so I can see it. On the bottom is a picture of our front page of our website. So you would click member login, and then it would bring you into your Golf Canada Score Center. And then you just follow along on the prompts. You can click as many events on the schedule as you like and add to cart and complete the registration that way. For say if you're playing in the junior as an example, being that you're a non-member, you would go to our website, and you can see on the website there, you'd click on competitions and then go down to the competition calendar. From there, you would just click on the junior championship, and then it'll prompt you as a non-member, fill in the information, and away you go. So it's pretty easy, but again, technology isn't for everybody. So if they have any issues or concerns, they can always email me or call the office, and we can get you registered for those events.
Sure, thank you, Steve. Just want to continue on here with a couple more tournaments that people maybe or may not be aware of. So Manitoba has a junior Bantam championship. And again, I think that's 14 and under, 15 and under, I think. And again, June 25th, 26th, again, a very high level tournament. And I remember this, Jeff, you probably remember this. You had a Golf Canada coach there a few years ago, 5-6 years ago at Elmwood. I'll never forget, he asked all the kids how many provinces they played in, was one of the questions he asked them. So none of the kids put up their hand. So again, I just got to reiterate, it is important to play out of province. So if you get a tournament like this, and again, Alberta has one too, U17, U15, U13. So this is a different championship than their provincial championship. So that runs August 22 and 22nd and 23rd in Red Deer. And again, for people on the west side of the province, it's a pretty easy trip. But again, really, really good competition. Alberta golfers, they have a lot of good golfers out there, and it's just a really good place to test yourself. Two really good tournaments, just if you want to maybe add those to your schedule. And then we get to the national championships. Of course, those are two top tournaments in Canada. So there's the women's amateur and the girls championship, both in Ontario this year. So they always do them back to back, because if you're going to both, then you can just kind of stay down there. So that's kind of how they always do them, and they switch from province to province, of course. They are just an amazing experience. The boys and the men's are quite different from the girls, and I'll just get into that in a second here. So Saskatchewan, of course, at the provincial championships, you're playing for a spot in those tournaments. So you're playing for a spot to be part of Team Saskatchewan. You're also paying, so I don't know what it is, Brian, 6 or 7 spots for the boys or something like that. So you're playing to win, but you're also playing to get one of those spots. So those spots will qualify you for the men's amateur or the junior boys amateur or the junior boys championship. That also, when you're part of Team Saskatchewan, then there is a bit of funding that goes along with that for your trip. So sometimes when you see a playoff for 5th or 6th place, that's because they're playing off to see who gets to be a part of Team Saskatchewan. Now, the reason I say the girls and the women's is different, because a lot of times the girls and the women's don't fill up. So you could potentially enter the women's amateur or the junior girls championship. Now, you may not be part of Team Saskatchewan, but you can still enter the tournament because they don't fill up. So they will take you if you have a specific type of handicap. So that is our option for girls. A lot of times the boys, they always have to qualify. They have a much tougher road to get the nationals. But if you feel your game is warranted, yeah, enter the championship. If you think you want to go out there, if you just missed making Team Saskatchewan, then maybe you can still make the team. Different provinces vary. Maybe in Ontario, there's more golfers. It might fill up. but that's just something to kind of keep an eye on if you're thinking about that. So this brings us to the Golf Canada Next Gen Championships. So the Next Gen Championships, they've been called different names over the years, but they're basically, I believe, 6 tournaments across Canada that Golf Canada puts on. So there's BC, there's Alberta, there's Saskatchewan, Manitoba, Ontario, Quebec, and then the Maritimes. So these are probably your next level tournament compared to the National Championship, probably your next best tournament that you can go to. So the Next Gen Prairie Championship, that alternates between Saskatchewan and Manitoba. And again, it's been scheduled in Manitoba for the last 3 years, but been canceled twice because of COVID. So they're going back to Steinbach this year, and that's the trip that we're planning that I'm going to get into in a minute. And then also, again, there's one in Alberta. And again, that's not that far a trip for people, June 2nd to the 4th. So they do space them out, so you could potentially go to both. And that's in Rocky Mountain House. Those are like huge commitments because they're 3-day tournaments. There's a practice round Thursday, and they're just a lot of commitment from families and golfers. But those are probably your two top tournaments that would probably be the closest to Saskatchewan. So here's our Canada Game qualifying again this year, and Steve's just going to talk about that for a little bit.
Yeah, so this schedule, you can find it on the Golf Saskatchewan website under competitions and then order of merit tour. And then as you can see, there's 5 events for the Canada Games qualifying. So each event, so a 2-day event as an example has X amount of points, 3-day events, slightly more, and then the provincials are even more as at the bottom, the last event. So the team will be announced following the standing calculations, and just maybe hop to that next one there, Rob. We can kind of see.
Oh, the next slide.
Oh, maybe it's not there.
Oh, sorry.
So if you just back it up, so the points will be there should be a point slide in there, but it's okay if it's not. You can view the order of merit standing points on the website. Once the season gets going, you'll be able to see the standings updated after each event. We use the Golf Saskatchewan order of merit tour point system. Again, like I said, 2-day events, 3-day events, and then provincials have the most value for points. We just felt that this is the best way to get the best players in Saskatchewan, and so the team will be based of two boys and 2 girls, age U19. The age eligibility will be August 1st, U19 as of August 1st, 2022. Now that's, again, I said U19, so it could be a U19, so 18 or a 17-year-old or a 16-year-old. We're not excluding 15 or 14-year-olds. However, those younger kids, the bantam age kids, would have to play from the full length tees to try and qualify. If a goal for them this year would be to try and make Team Saskatchewan for the Canada Games, they'd have to play the full length of the course with the older boys there. So that'd be a tough task, but maybe somebody's up for that. So yeah.
Okay.
Okay, so we'll have more information for Canada Games. We'll have a little page set up on our website with the Golf Genius, kind of organizing it and talking a little bit more about it, and yeah, we'll keep everybody up to date as to the standings after each event. So yeah,
good. Thank you,
Steve.
Steve.
Move on to fundraising.
Okay, yeah, so that's tournaments. So again, get out there, get your schedule set, and yeah, just kind of challenge yourself out there and play what you can. Our season is so darn short that yeah, it flies by so quickly. So again, fundraising, we really started fundraising last year, and I'm just going to kind of refresh what we did. So we kind of talked about 2 pools, Pool A and Pool B. So Pool A is basically group fund used to subsidize team training, competitive events. So that's funds that may be corporate fundraising, And I'll just show you kind of what we went here. So we got a couple corporate sponsors. You know, Steve had set up a Sarcan bottle collection. So if you go to Sarcan, you can put your donation to Junior Golf Saskatchewan. And then also Steve participated in the Golf-A-Thon last year, and the money that he raised went to Pool A. And then we also have contributions from Golf Saskatchewan directly to help subsidize some of our events. So basically, as of right now, we had a donation from Maple Leaf Junior Tour, and that was $500. And we had a donation from Remax Blue Chip Realty, which was $1,000 sponsorship. So again, that we never touched any of that money last year because we couldn't do any events, we couldn't travel or anything like that. So Steve did $500 approximately from the Golf-A-Thon. We got $700 from the bottle drive, and again, Golf Saskatchewan is supporting us with $10,000 this year. So we basically have that money to allocate to some group activities that we can get off the ground this year. So Pool B again. So Pool B is fundraising that you can do as an individual. So again, this was lacking in golf, and it's lacking all over with golf. And when I said that we wanted to kind of put things in place that allow you to do it within the rules of golf. So basically the funds that you raised by junior golf families that can go towards offsetting costs to train and compete in the sport of golf. So basically we're talking entry fees, we're talking hotels, we're talking equipment, just about, you know, anything that you can directly use for golf is you can use this fundraising to offset those costs. So basically what we did last year is we have a Golf-A-Thon, and we had about 12 golfers participate last year that raised over $15,000. So that money goes all to Golf Saskatchewan, and that's how we stay within the rules of golf. And then Golf Saskatchewan collects your receipts, and then they issue a check back. So that's basically the, you know, that's the hoop that we have to jump through. And thanks to Brian, I mean, they completely volunteered to do that for us, to make that money within the rules of golf. We did have some people get sponsorships. So again, you can get sponsored by a local company or maybe your uncle's plumbing company, whatever. And that can go into your Pool B funds. You submit a receipt for a set of new irons, and then you get that money back. So we're gonna kick this off in a couple of weeks. So we're gonna kick off our Golf-A-Thon. We're gonna do that again. We hope to get many more golfers involved. And we're gonna kick that off in the next couple of weeks and get that started so we can kind of have that wrapped up by middle of June, so you can kind of have that money to spend on your golf year. So when we talk about group events, this is kind of something that we wanted to do. So we want to do a junior golf camp. May 28th and 29th looks to be a pretty good weekend as far as the tournament schedule. So we're looking at about a 9 a.m. to 5 p.m. on Sunday type of event. We've kind of confirmed with the Willows that we can have it there. So basically we're looking at any current or future competitive golfers. There's no criteria to be there. We can only allow 24 juniors. Now, with the way golf is, these golf courses do not like to give up their tee times because golf has become quite the profitable business these days. So it is difficult because, you know, they don't charge the juniors as much. So they allowed us to have, you know, we got turned down by a couple courses, but they've allowed us to have 24 juniors. And we have coaches confirmed for that event. So basically this camp is going to be subsidized by some of the Pool A money that I talked about. So the cost is really going to be minimal for that weekend. And we'll get those details out soon. So basically registration opens to April 11th. There's no other way we can do it, just from, you know, first come, first serve. And so we'll just make sure you watch your email and watch the, Golf Sask Facebook page for more information on that.
One quick question,
Yeah,
Carter Timmerman there. I think Brian answered it. He was asking about, for individual sponsorship, does the sponsor receive a charitable donation receipt from Golf Saskatchewan for the amount of the receipt submitted for the individual?
No, they don't receive a charitable receipt because we're not a charitable organization. But what it is to them, it's a business expense. So it's a marketing expense to them. So, I mean, I have a business. So if we sponsor, we sponsor the golfer actually. Kay Johnson, and that's just a marketing expense for us. We are using our brand to market, and essentially that's what they're doing. But no, we won't be getting a tax receipt for that, for any sponsorship donations.
Yeah. Okay. Good answer.
So we've talked a lot about the Next Gen Prairie Championship, and again, this is very exciting part of the presentation. So Next Gen Championship is a big Golf Canada event. Many people have been to them. We haven't been to them for a couple of years. So June 8th to the 12th in Quarry Oaks, that's in Steinbach, Manitoba, or it's near Steinbach. It's kind of in the middle of nowhere, but yes, it's in Steinbach. So why we want a team trip? Well, it just gives the kids a chance to bond, have fun, and get to know each other. Like, we know how golf is. We show up, they warm up, and they go home, and they play and they go home, and then, we don't really have a chance to bond sometimes like other sports do. So I think that's a big part of it, is we just want to provide, a yearly trip where everybody can kind of get to know each other and then just kind of compete in a really, really good tournament. So like I said, this is a big commitment because, Quarry Oaks is far away, especially if you're on the west side of the province. And it's like 4 nights in hotels minimum, practice rounds, meals and everything. And we know the price of gas these days. So it just really makes it affordable that people can kind of just, put their child on the bus and they don't have to take time off work and that kind of stuff. So we will be using those costs or that Pool A money to subsidize the cost for the golfers. So we want to bring down the cost of the bus, bring down the cost of the hotels, bring down the cost of coaching, all subsidized by, the money that's been raised in Pool A. So we also want to have access to other coaches, so we can do some, they don't have to listen to their parents tell them where to hit the golf ball. They can actually listen to a pro. So practice round, course planning prior to tournament. That's all stuff that maybe we don't get the chance to do with a coach, and that's the opportunity we kind of want to have. We want to go over the course, pre-round, post-round meetings, things that maybe we don't get when we're just playing an MJT event or a Golf Saskatchewan event. And then, if coaches are watching you on the course, they can provide you feedback and they can see kind of what you need to work on and that kind of stuff. So coaching is a big thing that maybe we don't get when we're playing the MJT events because we just don't have our coaches out there. So basically, the team bus is leaving Wednesday, June 8th from Saskatoon. So then we will make it to Regina, and then we'll pick up anybody along the number 1 from Regina to wherever. So the bus will be on the number 1 highway, and they'll just pick everybody up as we go. And of course, family members may or may not attend. So if you want parent to come, absolutely hop on the bus. Grandma and grandpa maybe hop on the bus, provided we have seats, of course. But the trip will be chaperoned, so a parent doesn't have to attend. So that's the key here, is we want to make sure that this is maybe a tournament where you couldn't afford to go, you couldn't have taken off the time at work, but now you know that your child is safe and they're chaperoned and they can go and play a really high level tournament. So we're looking at approximate costs again, so $200 to $250. So per player, that includes your bus ride and your 4 nights in a hotel. So super economical. Include your coaching throughout the tournament. So again, the more players we get, of course, we can bring that cost down. And if we have a full bus of parents too, of course, that'll bring down the cost as well. So again, we're not subsidizing the parents' cost, but just the player cost. So if you're coming with your son or daughter, their hotel will be subsidized, but your portion of it won't. So if you're a family member, it's about $150 for a bus seat and about $220 for your 4-night accommodation. So we need about 20 players to make the trip. So currently we have 11 or 12 registered. So we hope we can really get to that number, so we can kind of green light this trip, for the first time. So again, what are we, April 7th here? So we don't want to drag this on too long, because once we know we have the number of players, that we can really do, complete our planning and know that we're going. And then also families can know that they're going. So the first thing I'd recommend to do is register for the tournament on Golf Canada's website. And then I would let Steve know if you're already registered, like, yep, I'm on the bus, so we can just start to get a head count. If you're on the bus with 1 parent, if you're on the bus with no parents or whatever. So we just really want to get this off the ground here as soon as we can.
Just to add to that, Rob. So I just looked today. So the next gen event has 12 Saskatchewan kids, 66 in total. So I don't know what their cap will be at, but they're still taking registration. So yeah, it looks to be a pretty full event. I think Steinbach is going to be quite busy that time of year. So
yeah, we got rooms booked. So we got 25 rooms booked. So we're all set. We just need the numbers, and then we can make it happen. So if you are planning and haven't registered yet, I know I haven't registered yet. So please do that. If you have any questions, make sure you reach out to Steve or myself, and if you have any follow-up questions.
Mm-hmm.
And just in case any parents are having hesitations, if there happens to be a reason why the trip gets canceled, for instance, Golf Canada does that, other than a modest administration fee, I think from Golf Canada or from Golf Saskatchewan, your funds will be returned. So don't worry about that for hesitation. And as far as the entry fee goes, the more your child gets out to raise during the Golf-A-Thon, the less expensive the trip gets for you, which, I mean, if they do a pretty good job, it could actually cost them nothing.
Thanks, Brian.
So we haven't opened registration yet for this trip. We're just finalizing it on the Golf Genius event page. So we'll make that available. I hope to have that ready by tomorrow at noon. So we'll share that link with the group and get people registered as.
So you, Steve, to go in there, and that's just to register for the bus trip, right?
Just for the bus trip. Carter Timmerman's dad had asked if he could register grandma and grandpa. So one of you got to stay home, grandma or grandpa. I don't know, Carter. Who do you want to come? But we want to have as many juniors play as we can, and from there we'll see how much room we have for parents. But certainly, certain circumstances we would allow 2 parents if there's room. So
yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, the more the less it'll cost. So it's a good thing. Any questions on that? That's something we've been working on for a couple of years now that we can finally hopefully do.
Hey, Rob, just while we have the parents on here and yourself and the committee, we've actually had a couple of provinces get wind of this, and they're actually very intrigued, as this is one of the first times other than, I guess, Atlantic Canada, where they've put together some people in large large passenger vans in order to go to another event. So this is, again, could be one of those precedent-setting things where if it works here, there's no reason why it can't work in Manitoba or Alberta to go other places. So well done.
Good. That's great feedback, and we're always looking for feedback because we're just kind of trying to figure this out. So if we can get on that bus, I tell you, I'm going to be a happy guy. So, and I just think it's fantastic for the kids. I really do. Okay, Steve, you got a couple more. So yeah, deadline. I said deadline is for the tournament is May 11th, but we'd like to have this thing greenlit like May 1st at the latest. The sooner we get it greenlit, then we can start to make some concrete plans here.
Yeah, so we have, I think by May 8th, we have to release the room block. So we have, just so the folks know here, we got 24 double rooms. There's also a kitchenette room. I think that sleeps up to 6, as well as there's another very large room that sleeps up to 8. So we can accommodate, say, if certain players want to stay in the same room, well, then we can try and organize that best we can. So.
Okay, thanks, Steve. Okay, Steve, you got a few other things to talk about here.
Steve, you're on mute.
Oh.
There we go. So we've talked quite a bit about junior development opportunities and what Golf Saskatchewan's doing, but there's a ton of PGA Saskatchewan facilities in the province. I suggest reaching out to your local golf shop and see if they have anything going on, and if you need direction on that, we can certainly help you get the right junior program or lessons or memberships and help you get golfing and get tournament ready. And there's so many coaches in Saskatchewan, and it's a very competitive market here in Saskatchewan as well as every other province. And my suggestion is to find a coach that's right for you. there's a lot of new up and comers. There's a lot of experienced and veteran coaches here. Just find what works best for you. And I know Anna Young, she's on the call here tonight, and she's going to be doing some work with us with our spring break camp that we're having in Saskatoon. And if you have anything to add to that, by all means, please chime in.
Hello. Yes, I do. So one of the things that Steve and I thought would be really great to talk about briefly is how to find a coach and what to look for. And since playing is my background, I thought that I could really give some good insight into this. There are lots of different factors to consider, and all in all, you really want to find a coach that you kind of vibe with, whether it's for you or for your junior or for your kid. That's one of the most important things. Communication style is very important. If you or your junior is comfortable asking questions or encouraged to ask questions so that they can really develop their understanding of the golf game and also of their swing, that's really helpful. And the comfort of like talking to a coach and being okay actually asking questions is really, really important. Availability. So when choosing a coach, it is really helpful to know what course they teach at, how often they're available during the week. Does it work with the times that work for your junior or for you? These are all things to consider, because as much as I would love to work with, whichever coach, if they're not in my city, it's like, okay, how can I make this work? If I really want to work with them, what are the options? There's Zoom calls, there's, going and seeing the coach, and phone calls. So it depends on what works for you and how you would like to kind of go about that. Experience and background. Every single coach in Saskatchewan, well, all coaches in general, they all have their strengths and they all have their weaknesses. Finding a coach that you're comfortable with for the strengths and weaknesses is very important, because this kind of works with their background in golf, whether it's more coaching, more playing, a little bit of both, and then how they approach the game as well. Everybody's personality is different. So if someone is a very fiery competitor, they might work better with a coach who is a little bit more fiery. Sometimes it's the opposite. If a coach is really, really fiery, it helps get the junior pumped up a little bit. It's really a balance of what you want for your junior and what they want. That's a big one though. So main blanket statement, your junior is the most important part of this process. If they're enjoying their lessons, or you're looking into a coach and you want to shop around with coaches, I think that's totally okay to do. I actually encourage it. I think that the more coaches you can kind of work with and get to know, you can really figure out what kind of coaching style works for you. When I was a junior, I had the opportunity to work with a couple different coaches throughout my junior career. And then as well, when I went to college and when I turned professional, I've had a good amount of coaches to learn from with what I like and I don't like. And being able to have the opportunity to work with different people really gave me that perspective. And I want to make sure that there's no discomfort or awkwardness if you want to try out a different coach. I know that everyone in Saskatchewan who's trying to grow golf, we're all very understanding and we really just want to grow golf. So I think that if you wanted to try out a new coach or shop around and then figure out which coach you wanted to stick with, everybody would understand, because our main goal is to grow golf in Saskatchewan and grow the game in junior golf. And if we're able to do that, even if it's not me coaching your kid or Jeff Chambers or Jason Schneider or Clinton, whoever is coaching, we're all just so happy that your kid is still continuing to golf. So that's kind of my thought. Sorry, just gonna look over my notes here, make sure I didn't miss anything. Oh yes. On that note of different coaches, there are different coaches that you may work with for swing, maybe for putting, maybe for mental game. If you're going to work with different coaches at the same time, it is really important to establish boundaries as to what each coach is going to work with you on. And I also think it's important to express to the coaches themselves that they are working with other coaches. And then that gives the coaches an opportunity to have a conversation about your junior so that we can all help your junior the best way possible. The last thing that we want as coaches is to confuse your junior or yourself. So the most important thing to remember in this type of situation is communication. If you're able to communicate your thoughts, your feelings, your concerns, your excitement, and we're able to work through all of those things, it's really, you're able to do that. But if you don't talk about it with the coaches or with your junior and how they're feeling, then none of that can really happen. So communication is absolutely key, but it really does make a difference when you know exactly what coach is working on different things. And then sometimes that doesn't work for people. It might be easier for some people to just have one coach for everything, and that's totally okay. The goal is to figure out what works best. It doesn't matter what it is. There's a million ways to do a lot of different things, but it's really about what works for you. That's all I got.
Great, thank you, Anna. I mean, I'd like to just add briefly to that, and what we're trying to create here is foster a culture of excellence with our coaches and our players and families. To create a Team Saskatchewan atmosphere, and like you said, it's juniors first, and we all want to try and work together to strive and try and reach that goal of Golf Canada has. I think they want 35 touring professionals on PGA and LPGA tour. So I'd love Saskatchewan to be a part of that number, even if it's one or two. It's a goal that we all have and share together. And so thank you for that.
You're welcome. Thanks for having me. I'm
Steve,
glad I
you just
could
wanted to mention, sorry, thanks, Anna.
Oh, you're good.
You just wanted to mention the long-term development plan as well?
Sure. So what is it? It's basically it's a roadmap. Again, this is for new parents, new juniors, intermediate and advanced, to kind of see where you're at and compare it to where you should be. And you can easily there's a PDF downloadable document on golfcanada.ca. It goes through the entire steps, right from grassroots to senior golfer, and it's golf is a game for life, and this is a really important piece. And I know Golf Canada and PGA of Canada have put a lot of resources into this document, and I suggest checking it out when you have some time. And we'll definitely make this PDF, this presentation, viewable and share it with everybody so that they can have all these documents and information available after the meeting. So thanks.
One other thing, Steve, just with the amount of scholarships available to kids.
Yeah, so Saskatchewan Academic and Golf Excellence Scholarship Program, that's a mouthful. Every year Golf Saskatchewan has up to 13 post-secondary scholarships, as well as up to 3 high school bursaries for athletes that are looking to excel in school and post-secondary education. And these scholarships are based heavily on grades and golf ability and playing in events. Definitely weigh into scholarship recipients. So these can all be found on our website, golfsaskatchewan.org, under sport development. And then just at the bottom of the screen, you'll see a PDF and a Word document you can download and send into Golf Saskatchewan. So the deadline for the SAGE is May 31st. We also have some Golf Canada Foundation, as well as the Pat Fletcher scholarship too. So these deadlines are coming up. So definitely we'll share this information. Take a snapshot on your phone, and we're going to send out the meeting as well, so you can copy and paste as you go.
Okay, one more slide here, everybody. Rules. Level 1. Every player should take their level 1 rules course. I don't know how many times we've had a bad experience or players have a bad experience on the course because somebody got the rules wrong. Well, my advice is know the rules better than anybody on the course, and you'll never have that problem again. We're just not learning the rules good enough. This course takes a couple hours. It's done so well. It's so user friendly. You sit down with your child, go through it. It's really the basics that you need to know to play tournament golf. And we all know the pros, every time they're in a situation, they call over a rules official, but we don't have that luxury in the junior golf all the time. So I highly recommend, if you haven't done this yet, take it with your child, and really just prepare for the year. And it just, how many times has a player taken the wrong drop because they didn't know the rule, right? So you have to use the rules to your advantage, and this is just one tool that every player really should know the rules, and should apply them in their tournaments. So please look into that. Just kind of, it's the R&A rules level 1. Just Google it. You come up. Again, it takes a couple hours, and it's really done really well with videos and stuff. So that's it for tonight. We can just hang out for a couple minutes for questions. You can take down my number or my email if you have any questions about what we talked about tonight. Any corporate sponsorship opportunities, of course, we're still looking for that. And of course, everybody has Steve's email there too. But again, this is fantastic. This is what we're working towards. Just creating a little bit of a junior golf community that we can all plug into, and hopefully we can make everybody better. So we'll just wait around for a minute or two if there's any questions. If not, please email me or call me. And we have a lot of great stuff to look forward to here.
Rob, there is one question. Grant Giesbrick's wondering how the Golf Sask camp, the coaches will be selected. So we have sent out. Sorry. We have sent out some invites. I know Jeff, for one, he couldn't make it. I do know that Clinton is going to be in the camp. Anna Young, myself, and there's room for one more. So we certainly want to open it up to anybody, and whether it's Jason or somebody from Regina, we want to make it inclusive for all coaches to be a part of this. And like I said, we're trying to create a culture of excellence and inclusivity with coaches and players. So we're not trying to create a group or a small clique kind of thing. So we want everybody involved.
Community of coaches. That's the goal.
Yeah. What's that?
A community of coaches. That's the goal.
Exactly. So